Greetings, I'm Caffeine Rage and I'm back with the Sunday Sampler. This week we're going to be taking a quick look at Space Pirates and Zombies 2. This is an arcade shooter slash light 4X strategy game. It's going to take a little bit of explanation, let's be perfectly honest. Self-published by MinMax Games Ltd, and as per usual, this is a review copy, and I am playing this on version 0.9.912. This is the last early access version just before the game goes into full release, so I still wanted to give the version number just in case there's some changes. And yes, it constantly is wanting to go to the full screen battle. I'll just let it next time it goes there. This is going to be an interesting one. This is not what I was expecting when I went into the game. It is a lot more on faction management, and that's why I'm leaning more towards calling this a light 4X strategy, but it has enough of the direct combat that I don't want to just label it that. It's a strange combination of the two. Let's just dive right into things. And yes, that interference in the audio is very annoying. That's the game, and I haven't found a way to really turn that off. There is a lot of options here though, which is very nice. And we're going to be playing around in the sandbox mode, mostly to avoid any story spoilers. And I've also turned off the zombies in my play to also avoid story spoilers. I've gotten through about halfway of the story campaign to the point when the zombies start showing up, but I didn't want to, spoil the twist. So before we do that, I do want to show off the the sandbox mode, or the options for it, because it is rather intense. I mean, there is a lot of things you could change here, to the point of making really, really different games. And I'm actually somewhat impressed by this. Well, actually, I shouldn't say somewhat. I am very impressed by this. Where, if there's something that's annoying you combat-wise, there is an option to probably either disable it or tone it down a bit. I mean, this is a lot of options to toy around with, along with several pre-selected game modes right there. And you can also do your own saving of different loadouts if you wish to do that. I pretty much just have the standard, only with the zombies turned off. So we will go into what I have set up, and we'll toy around in this. Wait for it to load. And there we go. Welcome to Space Pirates and Zombies 2. This is my little corner of the galaxy. I've only explored about a third, not quite a half of it. Not that I couldn't explore more, and we'll probably hit a couple new areas as I just go around. But, I just wanted to stay in my little corner of the galaxy. We've had a little bit of a scuffle with the, what is this? The Ruins of Orion faction, which I could actually go into faction info here. Here's my faction, the Clockwork Crew. I have 22 of 48 members, just because of my faction size. Oh, sorry, the Civilian Ascendancy. And they really don't like me because there's been a lot of border skirmishes. But honestly, all the factions kind of hate me right now because I've kind of killed a couple captains that were cheesing me off. But also, the way the faction system is built, it's pretty much impossible to not piss someone off. And we'll get into the faction system in just a little bit. I should say right off the start, if you're going to this expecting Space Pirates and Zombies 1, you're going to be sorely disappointed. This is not the first game, only bigger. This is quite a bit different. And that's not a praise for it, but it's not a condemnation either. It's just different. So let's go into shipbuilding. Oh, sorry, I accidentally clicked that. Assemble ship. All the ships in the game are made of building blocks. You can see mine has a nose, which increases those tend to be shield heavy and health heavy. Cores are the backbone of your ship. Wings improve maneuverability, and engines make you go fast. And you can just pop one off, and I actually don't have a single core here. This one would have been a better option, and slap another one on. Very easy. And you could also use the tractor beam to move things around. It's very, very icon heavy though, so it's very tough to say, without knowing the icons, what this part does by itself. The icons are available here, a guide for them, but you have to go into the tactical tab and then go here to see what the icons are. And it is very annoying. There is no tooltips, or I should say there's a lack of useful tooltips in this game, which is very, very frustrating going into it at the very beginning. Because there's a lot of times that I looked at something and it's like, what the hell does this do? And that's pretty much that's my biggest complaint about the UI, honestly, is that there's a severe lack of tooltips in general. But this ship design mode is interesting, but it also leaves all the ships looking like they're just a hodgepodge of parts, which for the game world that may make a lot of sense, but it doesn't make for a lot of very pretty ships like you see in the first game. And all the first game ships are in this, but they're all strike craft, and yes, you can fly them, but there's an emphasis on mothership to mothership, or mothership carrier ship combat that makes you really not want to leave this ship, because this ship goes boom, you die, game over, and you either continue, you go to escape pod and rebuild from scratch, which is very expensive, or you're putting together jump parts and you're building up again. So I don't really want to edit my design too much. I mean, I'm pretty much happy with how it is. I wish there was a way to, I have two things I really want out of this mode. One, I want a way to save my design so I could go test something else, and if I don't like it, I don't have to go back and re-snap together my entire ship, which is tedious. And also, as far as I've been able to find to figure out, there is no way to test my ship in here. Considering that there is a lot of emphasis on, at least in the early game, of going to different starships or star bases and hitting the arcade mode, a simulated version of the combat, to be able to get some quick experience and some reputation. The fact that they don't have that in the ship builder to test out your ships it feels like an oversight, to be perfectly honest. And because everything is so icon heavy, only way I could really see what I have is here. Is that my core? Yeah, it is. That shows my overall ship design, my overall threat, which is essentially my power level of the ship, my overall stats, but it's very, very cumbersome. Like this core, I try to swap it out. Okay, so that one gives me plus 2.7 lightning bolts. What is lightning bolts? I go here because I don't recall what lightning bolt is. I find it here. It is power. So that would give me 2.7 more power on that. Why can't they just, have what all the icons are here? It's irritating. And that's pretty much how this game is overall. It feels like it's done some things to try to build itself around VR, because they do have an emphasis on VR. As a matter of fact, you may have seen on the main menu them showing off the VR in the game, or for the game itself. And it feels like they gimped some systems to try to make it work a bit better for VR. So let me this is my capital, by the way. We'll just collect my stockpile, which gives me some more stuff. How the factions work is that each of these sectors You can run more than one starship by yourself, but the thing is, it is tedious and you have to defend it from bandits and everything else. So usually you want to only be running 1 or 2 star bases. I'm only running 1 at a time, or at this time, and I've delegated all my other sectors to various captains. Like this one is being run by the dentist. And you can see if I go to my faction. Let's see. Oh, I would have to go to my proper faction. Why they don't have a drop down here is just another showing of how the UI is a little irritating. So the dentist, and all these captains have their own personality, which I do like, and you get to know which ones are going to be more friendly to you, which ones are going to be more useful, and which ones are going to be a pain in the ass. So if I go to captain info, you see he really likes me. He really likes the faction overall. They're pretty friendly to one another. My faction tends to help one another, and that builds their relationship with each other. He's a threat 51. That means his essentially power level of the ship is 51. You can see the overlay of his ship here, which is actually very impressive. And I didn't mention that there's a synergy system with the cores, so you can see how his ship has a central spine here. Well, that allows his ship to be longer, but the more cores that you have connected to one another directly, the more they boost. So if he had a line of 2 cores forming the backbone of his ship, he would have a boosted set of cores going down, and that may make his ship stronger. Granted, as you level up, you unlock the ability to have more cores, so there's a trade-off there. So maybe he's going for more power right away, and he's going to boost up later. It's tough to say, really. But it's the captains overall are very interesting, and it reminds me a lot of an old game called Majesty, where you don't have direct control over anything. And in this game, you only have direct control over your own ship. And you can delegate a wingman, but that's it. In order to get someone to build something, or to assuming that they even have the money to build something, because that's something else that may not be, you have to set a build incentive. But honestly, I found, at least with my faction on my campaign for the story and for this, typically, unless you put a lot of stuff on a build order, they just ignore it and let it go. So I usually end up doing things myself. So I'm not sure if it's just I have lazy captains, or if I'm not putting enough into things. But honestly, there comes a tipping point when the build order is a little bit too excessive. But I do like the fact that, the world, or the galaxy, feels alive because all these captains have their own traits. So let's see, I go to this captain. He has the traits vindictive, so he constantly wants, or he's more likely to want revenge on someone that's cheesed him off. And you see, he has a long list of bandits that he's killed. This one, Captain Dictator. He a lackey, so he doesn't want power in my faction. He wants to be a lackey. He's courageous, so he's less likely to retreat battle, but he's also passive, so he doesn't want to start battles as much. And you can see the list of things that he's done. So he'll not usually get into battles as often, but he's less likely to run once he's into one. You can see his faction reputation. He's friendly to my faction, and the civilians, and the science really hates him. It's hard to read the science because of that blue on black. But you start feeling the personality, and you start seeing the same captain show up over and over, which leads a living feeling to the world, which I really like. So let me dump things into my personal stash. Hide equip parts, because I just grabbed these out of the stash to be able to show you the shipbuilding. And you don't want to carry too much junk around, because and I'll drop off some of my extra crew. Yeah, that's fine. Because the more stuff you're carrying around, the more res you're burning to be able to move. They changed the movement system in this game where right now everything is frozen because I'm not moving. Time only moves when I move. And to move, it burns my res. And I could change the speed. So I'm burning 0.84 a second. If I go to full boosted speed, it's 2.52, which is my max speed. But I could also do just a conservative slow speed and only burn it doesn't even register that much. It's that low. So that gives you an idea just how light it could go. And you can also see that I have a bounty on me from Mayor Croker. Or Cloaker, sorry. Yeah, he's my nemesis. He's popped up a few times, and he's actually in my territory right now. So let's see if... Hang on, where did he go? Yeah, let's put a small bounty on him. And I may want to go take care of him. We'll see what happens with him, because that's what's really kind of drawn me into this game. I will say that I really like this game, but at the same time, I'm a little disappointed by the fact that it's, well, not space pirates, it's zombies, more of it. Looks like my space is being raided by the green faction here. Like I said, there's been some conflicts going on, and they've actually picked a fight with the yellow faction. I blank on the name of these guys. I just go by their colors. The Sun Hunters. And just before I did my save to be able to record this, they, I believe they're at war? Yeah, they're at war with the civilian ascendancy, so that was how I picked up a faction, or a territory down there, was that they were going around, and the Sun Hunters blew up their starbase, and I swept in and grabbed it. But you can see they are not exactly fans of me either. Granted, you can build faction just by doing things. So let's go do things. Let's go off into space and actually... Oh, looks like my bounty's about to get claimed. No. Actually, wow. Mayor Cloaker has quite the ship going on. He has a 73. But also, yeah, I have a bounty on him, and you can see all the things he's done. He's declared war on quite a few people. And I can also pay reparations to get rid of the bounty, but why would I do that? So let's go into combat. Assuming that this raid doesn't go away before we get there, let's go ahead and boost. And we'll get into a little bit of combat, and I'll talk about that. There's also the level up system, and there's a few other things to talk about before we get going. Okay, so this is a solo encounter, so only I will be in this. Fights have a hard limit of 4 captains or 1 starbase and 3 captains. And you can actually see I think that's the ships that are being in this. That's actually quite the raid, but let's do it anyway. And I also have a few strike craft of my own. But there's a hard limit of 4 captains, or a starbase and 3 captains, and it ends up making all the battles not who has the bigger sides, but who gets there first. And that is a little off-putting, because it makes it so that it's not who has the stronger faction, but just who happens to be hanging around. And since you can't really have a big fleet to begin with, because you could only have one wingman, and the best way to do anything else is to try to lure people in with carrots of bounties. It's irritating. It's an irritating limitation. And speaking of irritating, well, we've already cleared this, but then again, this was also just a little raid. Let's talk about the camera while we're here. It's it's a good time to do that since we're just kind of hanging out now. I'm not a fan of this camera at all. All the motherships, all the carriers, or whatever you want to call them, all the big ships snap together, like Lego. Fly on this single plane, you can see the grid around me, which is a little hard to see once it gets more than like 3 hexes away. Anything that is above or below me is usually strike craft. As a matter of fact, you can see my own strike craft. I'll draw them closer to me. But if there's other strike craft that are higher above me, it is very tough to hit them. And if anything is below me, well, good luck. There is a single or first-person version or view here, this sort of sniper scope, but it can only zoom out so far, and it's kind of tough to be able to track all that well. And there is the old top-down camera, but look at this view. Tell me, what is on the plane and what is not? Exactly. You cannot really tell all that well. But if you go here, you can see, all this is on the plane. And because the combat often uses cover, it's really, really difficult to be able to say, okay, I can take cover behind, let's pick an asteroid almost at random. Let's say a couple of these. Those below it would be cover, but this above me wouldn't be. I don't know why they didn't put a fully freely rotating camera, which would have been a lot more useful. So you saw I picked up some blueprints there. Those are for the hangars. Right now I only have 24 command points, which means that I can only have, 1 large and 2 medium, or I could drop one of my mediums and have 1 reserve. The way you get command points is through the level up system, and the level up system draws from a randomized set of traits. As a matter of fact, you may be able to... Is it on my captain's thing? Yeah, okay, so you can see my perks. Part size, I'm able to use all the large parts now, weapon damage. All of these are randomly picked. Like, I don't have any of the trading because whenever trading comes up, there's something more important showing up. And I have 12 of 20 cores unlocked. Every time you level up, which I doubt I'll be able to get in this video because I started whenever I'm low in level 20, and this is quite the level now. You get sometimes a free perk that is a requirement, usually either the part size upgrade or a new core. And then you have a choice, well, at least in the base game. You can change this in the sandbox settings, but the sandbox settings apply to everyone. So you may end up fighting a lot stronger captains because of it. You could increase the number of perks you could choose from, but you may regret that. So I haven't gotten a good luck with my command points, so I'm limited to my number of craft, and there's a fair number of craft to choose from. I'll sort it by the unlocked. And unlike the first game, plans are always dropping, which makes it so that craft level up. So you can see my Flora is a level 3 strike craft here. You can see there's the icons again if you what's to see what does what. You can see its stats compared to, let's say, the Red Hook, which I only have barely unlocked, and it makes it so that the ships that you encounter the most often are the ones that you usually want to use because those have leveled up. So you can see The floor has a 111.2 HP, which is plus 41 from the level up, compared to the right hook, which has a 70 base. So base stats, the right hook would be better, but because this is leveled up 3 times, this is better. And it also has a bonus of 50%. What's that got? Icon. Has a 50% damage boost on it as well because of the level up. At least I assume that. But because I've seen the floor so often and the mule so often, those are kind of my go-to craft. And as a matter of fact, the yacht is pretty tempting, but it doesn't have shield, so you can see how, once you start seeing the same crafts over and over again, you kind of lean on those, and I'm not sure if I like that or not. It's a odd system. You can see, that's my freighter, my poor large ship, but the thing is that I don't have any other large ships, and I haven't really encountered that many. I'm close to unlocking the Star Cruiser, and well, I couldn't really afford to switch to it unless I get more command points. But you can see, stat-wise, it's the same. But this has 2 large launchers, 2 small launchers, and 2 small turrets compared to 4 small launchers and 4 small turrets. So this may be better overall. There's a lot of second guessing on my part, to be perfectly honest, when it comes to stats. Let's close down to normal speed, and you can see I'm rating heavily this space, so this is really kind of cheesed this guy off. And the rating, as far as I could tell, is sapping resources. So this territory is getting extra resources, this territory and this territory is getting extra resources. And those are all funneling back to my main base through taxation. So you can see how having a larger faction and cutting off a territory and just sapping it has really improved my position. Granted, I'm probably on the purposes of war, to be perfectly honest. And it's going to be an interesting one to see if I can win it, because the enemy faction has a few captains that are a lot stronger than me. So let's head up north. Well, I know, north. Towards the top of the map, and we'll put down a new star base, and I'll talk a little bit about base management some more. You can see how all the space stations are linked by trade lines, and they share their technology. And sorry, I clicked and it stopped my movement. As you build up your network, these these space stations continuously trade their technology and level up, as well as being funded by their local, essentially, governor. Oh, there's a bandit here, a bandit base that we may not want to build here just yet, and I'm not quite strong enough to do it on my own, and that's a solo encounter. I'm a 49 right now. But we'll build here anyway, because to hell with it. Taking care of bandits is a very mid to late game thing. So you can see my build cost, because I'm a somewhat larger faction now. It costs me 8,500 versus like the hunters cost 5,500 because they're a smaller faction. The miners are a lot more expensive. In fact, I don't even see the miners on my map. Oh. Is that that's a new faction or a new takeover? Yeah, there's a lot of interwar going on. Are they actually fighting, or no? It would be. They are at war, pretty much. Well, they're at war with yellow and red. And they pretty much don't like me. But honestly, I can't blame them. I mean, look at all the raids that are going on into their territory. That's got to cheese them all. So let's go ahead and put down Starbase. So we'll build Starbase. Something that I don't understand is why I use templates on this, because there's this big customization feature with the ships. Why do not have that with the star bases? Instead, I have to choose one of 5 essentially focuses for the star base. And whatever one I pick offends the faction that originally designed it. So no matter what you do, even if you're building out in the dead of space, away from everyone, no raids, no nothing, you're always going to piss at least one faction off, no matter what. And also, I would have loved to seen a way to see how many of a particular starbase I have. So I've focused on shields, which, shields are pretty important, especially versus the zombies, but it's just the way I play. Because I can't see what I have here, I have to memorize, okay, I have a lot of shield bases. If I have one base of a particular type, it unlocks that part type. If I have 2, it unlocks the next tier up. If I have 4, it unlocks the 3rd tier. And I can't see what I have here. And I don't think that there's a overview in the faction, is there? Oh, there isn't. It just shows me, who owns star bases. So there's no overview of what exactly type of star bases I have, which is irritating. So let's just go ahead. I do know that I only have a couple of power, so we'll put down another power base. And time advances as we build. And I could delegate this one, which I will, because I don't want to sit here and take care of this. So, Warstrokes doesn't have one, so we'll give that to him. And since this has bandits nearby, we'll put a few fun expansions from my own coffer. There we go. And that increases the overall network and puts in more. We'll go back to my own base. You can see the star base feature bonus. So, engine size 3, nose size 2, wing size 8. So, this gives me, this is the closest way I could see to an overall feel of what the Empire is doing, but there's no, sit down and tell you exactly what you have, which feels like a severe oversight. That's why I'm calling this a light for X. So, I guess I haven't really mentioned the zombies at all. Like I said, I turned them off in this mode just to, for one, not have to worry about them going absolutely apeshit, because the zombies are a real threat and they will get you if you're not careful. But they're essentially act like a very warlike faction with the ability to forcibly turn your captains, and that's really the way the zombies function, to be perfectly honest. Let's go ahead and add a bounty here. To kind of scare this guy off. And I'll throw in some res. There we go. And we may see Floyd go after this, because I'm not quite strong enough, and I can't bring my wingman into this because there's Top Shelf. He may be going over that. Oh. Yeah, I'm just kind of flying around to cause time to progress. Oh, we see Brooks going after that, which that's a very impressive looking ship. But that's the carrot and the carrot system that's going on, and it feels a lot like Majesty. If you never played Majesty, it's a very old kingdom builder with essentially the same idea of controlling your subjects. You're a king that doesn't have direct control over anything. And that's why it's kind of reminding me of this. Let's see, what else is there? I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything. The zombie war would appear here, and as the zombies take over, it essentially shows a progress of everyone else versus the zombies and how strong they are. But because of the building of your own faction, it causes so much havoc, it may be more worthwhile to just, you know, stick with a faction if you're in the story mode, but you're kind of forced to, yeah. All right, they're story spoilers. Let's just leave it at that. Let's go fighting a little bit more. Come back. Come back. I want to show you something. Oh, and I should say that I do have a cloaking device. I'm the only captain that has a cloaking device. It's my special ability, essentially. And it allows me to essentially, you know, get out of fights that would have been overwhelming otherwise. So let's go here. We'll fight him. Okay, it looks like nobody's going to join him, and nobody's joining us. So this is just a little one-on-one. And there's a way to delegate your troops, but to be perfectly honest, it's very basic. That's what everything on this feels like, is that it feels like they couldn't figure out exactly what they wanted to do game-wise. So they ended up doing a little bit of both. There's a right hook blueprint over there. We'll grab that once this is down. It looks like his shields are down, and he's down. Oh, and there's another blueprint over there that may be worthwhile. And area clear. Unfortunately, we do have to go grab these blueprints. Thankfully, they're kind of attracted to me. And we've unlocked the Tang, so we'll go take a look at that. But this is pretty much what Space Pirates and Zombies 2 is. Take all this. There is scattered around the galaxy lore, like this one is about a character. There's another lore up there that I haven't grabbed. I haven't really done a lot of exploring on this map just because I wanted to build up a faction for this video. And occasionally you'll also find illegal mining operations that you could go into to gain res, but honestly, once you get a decent faction going up, a lot of the systems kind of fall away. Like the reactor system, it's not as important. The reactor system, think of your ship as essentially a gun. And all the parts on your ship have weapons on them, no matter what. Well, outside of the core parts, I should say. Those are essentially, like I said, the backbone of your ship, and they're the only parts that are weaponless. All the weapons draw from a single reactor, and the ship's shields recharge off of this reactor as well as boosting from this reactor. Well, once the reactor runs dry, you could jettison it to create a new reactor. The character that is giving you the tutorial for this says, and please don't try to make sense of this. And during this, yeah, you're kind of helpless, but the thing is that outside of large battles at this point, that system is kind of falling away, and that's kind of the feel of the game in general, is that certain systems are really important in the early game, but late game, they don't matter really at all. And that's... I'm not sure what I feel about this, because don't take me wrong, I have had fun with the game, but at the same time, you know, I wish they had more focus on the game. I wish they had more development focus, because there's a certain level of this is really cool, but kind of shallow, or at least shallow for the genres that they're kind of tipping their toes into. The combat feels a lot more shallow than Space Pirates and Zombies 1, and because all the factions are now interconnected, your actions matter a lot more, but there's not a lot of stuff you could do with that outside of, you know, getting a captain's angry at you to set bounties on you. Yes, you can go help captains to try to boost their morale towards you, and that people will spread the word of your deeds, both nefarious and, you know, not, but it's kind of a mixed bag. Looks like Brooks wasn't able to take care of that not zombie, but bandit camp. It looks like he may be going for it again, though. Yeah, he's going for it again. I wish there was a way to just stay in one place and, advance time without burning res, but, I think we're pretty much done here, though. Uh-oh, I didn't look to see what the Tang does. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Oh, it's a medium-sized ship. But, I leveled up, so... Wish there was a way to compare directly without just going back and forth, so... Oh, no, it's nowhere near it. So I would have to, see the Tang level up again before I would even consider it. Unless I really wanted, like, micro launchers or something. Oh. There's a lot of really interesting ideas, and I will say that I have lost track of time playing this. This falls into sort of the one more turn territory, or well, one more action, or whatever you want to call it. But overall, if you're looking for Space Pirates and Zombies 1, you're going to be disappointed. If you're looking for a very deep strategy game, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're going to this... actually, let's pick a fight here. Oh, this is going to be fun. 2-on-2. This may be interesting. And wow, frame rate is tanking just because there's so much going on. But then again, I'm also at the tax of recording. So, if you're looking for what this game actually is, then I think you would enjoy it. If you're looking for something more, though, or something a lot deeper, then you're going to be disappointed. And I think that's, really how things kind of pan out overall for this game. Look for what it is and not what you want it to be. Oh, we are about to lose our wingman. Oh, he's going to explode. Yeah, this may not turn out going too well for us. Thankfully, we do have the tractor beam, which I haven't really talked about. Unfortunately, the tractor beam also kind of brings you to a dead stop, which is irritating. Oh, looks like we were able to pull that off. Oh, there's the reactor reloading. First time I've had the reactor had to reload in a while. Well, that was fun. Turned out being a hell of a lot tougher fight than I expected. You can see all the new parts floating around as well. And granted, if I really wanted to, I could grab one right away, but don't have any open slots. You can, if you lose a part, try to snap it back onto your ship with the tractor beam, but I found it to be very cumbersome. Oh, extra armor. There is an occasional pickup, but honestly, it's been, very random on what I find. Like, right there's one. Usually, it's not worth banking on, though, so let's leave this. And wow, that is a lot of good parts. So we'll take all those. You can see my captain going off. See, I don't need to lobotomize him. If I execute him, he does respawn. There's always the 200 captains. But it resets him to neutral loyalty. So there's no reason to do that right now. So we'll just scavenge. Oh. We have another guy here. But we'll leave that. Because we're pretty much done here. As always, constructive feedback is greatly appreciated. Either in the comments below, or if you don't really have anything to say, but when we know that you've enjoyed or hated this, hit the appropriate buttons and subscribe if you wish to see more of the Sunday Sampler or my other content. Thank you for watching, and this has been a long one, but this is a game that is, if you go into it with the proper mindset, I think it's worthwhile. If you're going into it expecting something different, you're going to be disappointed. But then again, isn't that a lot of games these days? That's actually kind of depressing now. I made myself sad. Look, our new space station's already up to 31. It is quickly gaining strength. I'll see you next time with more of the Sunday Sampler.